School was 6 years. Well, we got the
Two
building.
terms?
We got the building. That was,
2 terms.
yeah.
My wife was on it for 4 terms.
Oh, really?
I'm ready when you are on.
We're on?
Yep.
All right, good evening. Item 1, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda is review and approval of the minutes from 5/16/22.
Does change that? It's going to be
Yep, that's right.
6. 5/6.
5/6.
6
Six,
6
six.
6
Six.
6 6 22.
Okay. I only have one addition I'd like to see get in there. While we did the motion to reconsider, we did allow Mr. Stebbins the opportunity to address us and speak to us, and I'd just like that reflected in there, that we offered him the courtesy of speaking to us and we had a conversation thereof.
Wasn't that in the planning board minutes? No?
It wasn't the planning board, it was in our minutes.
Okay.
That was in the motion to reconsider.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
And, you know, technically we did, I think he's been patient with us and we should have afforded him the courtesy.
With that motion, I make a motion to approve minutes of June 6th, 2022,
As amended?
as amended.
I'll second that. Okay, regular business.
Gonna vote on it.
Oh, excuse me. James?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, regular business. There will be a public hearing for special exception and variance request from the following sections of the municipal code of the town of Newmarket, New Hampshire. Special exception, section 32-46 M2 district to permit a total of 8 dwelling units on property of less than 2 acres. And a variance of section 32-46A, B, 2, and D, M2A district to allow 8 dwelling units in one building, and 32-46A2C M2A district to permit 12 parking spaces where 16 are required. Applicant enters into a written agreement with the owner of the adjacent property for 4 additional parking spaces available for occupants of the subject property. We only have 4 voting members tonight. You are entitled to 5.
We're very grateful for the 4 voting members coming. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead with that. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. And, next time I come, I'll bring a cake.
It's okay. I'm getting a little older. A case would be
I'm older probably, so I agree with you. But we're going to talk about 3 things, all of which fit into the scope of the discussion we had last time, which was quite extensive. And we're very excited about this project because we think it's an opportunity to really create an exciting area in what is now an underutilized area with underutilized property. And it will create tax income for the town. It will generate more interest and vibrancy in the downtown area. And we just think this is a great project. Now, I'd be glad to go through the reasons for this. You remember that we had asked for the special exception last time, and it was recommended that that could be handled by the planning board. But on reconsideration, it's back before you tonight. And that that is to build the 8 units on the property in question, which we've all talked about. And the 2 variances are a similar one, which is to have 8 dwelling units in one building, which is very similar. And the variance is to have the parking spaces, which we discussed at length last time. It needs 16 parking spaces, and we have 12 designed for the building, but we need a variance to allow us to enter into an agreement with the abutter to have 4 parking spaces available at the immediately adjacent property. So we would have 16 spaces. It's just that it would be divvied between 2 adjacent properties. And if you'd like me to go through all of the conditions and things, I'd be glad to do that again, but I assume you've heard enough from me.
Well, I myself don't, they're pretty well discussed in your presentation over here. And just clarify in my head, we're putting 8 units in one building. So basically for lack of a better term, what we're gonna see from Railroad Ave is basically one long building, similar to what's there now.
Exactly the same footprint, a little
It's
less.
going to be, the footprint's gonna be smaller than what's there, and it's going to be modern, good-looking.
Is it gonna be a
Up-to-date.
brick facade?
Haven't decided, so.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
not our
Yeah.
bailiwick, but it would be nice, I mean, that building's been there for so long as a brick facade that,
Are you looking for a brick or a slate roof? Because I'm gonna have a lot.
either way.
You're gonna put the slate roof back up?
Okay, we've got, Mr. Stebbins' his written presentation. People can see that on the website. I'm gonna open it up briefly for public comment, if there's anybody out there that wants to say anything.
We think this is a really good project, and we hope you'll be granting the request.
Does anybody on the board have any comments, thoughts?
I only have one question. Where is the location of the other 4?
So there's another property right next door, which is the,
It's Horizon Engineering.
Horizon
used to be
Engineer.
Secret
Yeah.
JS Engineering.
Yep.
and it's right adjacent, and it will be on that property, probably near the parking lot.
Is that why you have a walkway going over there?
So I provided the planning board.
Ah.
So just to conceptualize.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our goal is to share trash at that site along with parking.
I see.
Totally.
And that, how does that work? Do you deed that?
It's just a written agreement.
A written agreement?
Yeah.
Is the written agreement
File?
filed as part of the deed? Is it, so if 10 years down the road you guys have a spat that goes away?
Hopefully we don't have a spec, so.
Well, that's not the
But
point.
so no, it's not on the deed, but the other option there, is there's a municipal lot right there as well, right across the, never used, and you can rent spots there as well.
How does that work with the town?
It's a permit.
What's that?
Permit. You rent the spot, so you basically a parking permit.
Just like downtown?
Correct.
The big parking lot?
Correct.
Okay.
And what we see is, right now it's 2 units, two spots per unit. We typically see right now, as long as you're working from home, that there's usually 1 car. So that's,
Yep.
How many bedroom units are there?
2 bedrooms. Yeah. In all of our rentals, we're really seeing, it's a couple usually that, or 1 person, then they're using the other one as an office.
Okay, I don't see anybody out for public comment, so I'm gonna close the public comment period. Has anybody got any concerns? Do we wanna put a motion together?
I got one concern.
Go ahead.
Attorney Stebbins, can you explain to the board why the special exception request is being submitted? Because my understanding, this is a district, and the special exception request is under the M2 district. Under the M2A district is the planning board special use permit for multifamily.
So you had discussed this with us last time, and we withdrew it because you had said that it should be under the planning board.
Correct.
And we got a response back from you after you re-reviewed the whole process, saying that this special exception should be granted by this board.
I don't remember submitting that, and if I did, I apologize.
Well, that was our clear understanding, and we did understand, you know, you had, the reason it's on the request is because you had asked us to put it on the request.
I apologize. I just don't think it's relevant, so I apologize if I misled you.
Because we had some email exchanges about this, and we said that it wasn't necessary, and
Okay.
you said, yes, it should be.
Well, then I have erred, so I apologize. I think the appropriate venue for the mixed use portion of it, or for the planning board, as a special use permit.
Right, and we would be glad to deal with it at the planning board level. We did this because we thought this was your request.
Okay. I just, I don't know what the board would think. It's in a different district, so
At
If I-
least it should be correct. I think the district was misidentified, is that correct? It's really a two-way, not a,
this is in the M2A district. It's
Right.
not in the M2 district. I think if the CBA were to grant a special exception, it would be an error. It's just a different zoning district.
I mean, what's
So-
written here is a special exception to M2. It's not in the M2, it's in the M2A. So at least that needs to be correct.
No, what we can do is we can just vote to ignore it based on the information provided us by the zoning administrator. But
I mean,
should we just,
that's my suggestion. It's just in the wrong zone.
I'm happy to do that. I love seeing you guys every Monday night. I honestly don't want to, so I just want to make sure that we are good.
We were
Are you
100%.
sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. I'm home with my kids.
I mean, the two variances definitely, but if
Yeah.
I apologize.
So,
Any misinformation.
It was, and like we did with your recommendation last time, we'll withdraw that happily.
Yep.
Because.
It might have been miscommunication, so I
Yeah, must
apologize.
have been,
for
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
so if you're withdrawing it, we really don't need to take any
That's
action on it.
correct.
Thank you, sir. So let's get on with the variances then. Does anybody have any issues with the variances?
They
I-
seem to be a really snug fit. I mean, it seems to,
I like the idea that it's gonna be 8 units in one building. It's gonna keep the visual aesthetics
Yeah.
similar to what's there. It's gonna keep that part of the neighborhood together. So I've got no issue with it. James?
Seems fine to me, yeah.
The only question I've got is on the parking. I'm really not a big fan of leaving the parking hanging and or reliant on the town lot. I'm not,
So I guess, well, what is the written agreement? Is it just like something that's on file with the town?
it's just a written agreement between them and the property owner.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with it's not attached to any of the deeds anywheres or anything like that, so it's, it's a handshake.
So
Excuse
how
me,
we used to do it.
Couldn't it be
So
more
that's
than
good.
that, though? I mean, couldn't we have an agreement between the town and these folks?
So the way this would typically be done if you wanted a recorded document is there would be an easement from the other property owner to this property about the 4 parking places. And there are a number of cross easements involved in this, as you've seen, that the access is over an easement. There's a lot of easements here. And if that is a deciding factor, we would certainly.
It's just, I see Newmarket growing, and I know we don't have enough parking spaces. So for us to sit here and say, well, you can use the town lot over there and pay the fee, well, that's basically, 15 years down the road, that's taking it from somebody else, when we have a tool in place now where we can keep those spaces open for the future. So if it's at all possible, I'd like to see some kind of an easement.
Mr. Chairman, the other thing I'd just point out is that, as we explained last time, we have plenty of spaces for these parking spaces on this lot, which would be our best solution from our perspective. However, there's some water problems, there's some runoff problems in this area. And what we're trying to do by keeping the parking spaces to where they are on this lot is we're trying to creating additional impervious surface for this to solve this water problem. We're taking down one full building and part of the other to help with the water problem. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, just so that you understand this isn't something that we couldn't do on the property, but we're trying to benefit the town, basically.
Thank you. All right, I think we're ready for a motion if anybody. So do we need to do the variance A and B, or can we do them together?
Do it together. You can do the way the rules and regs for ZPA. You can do all 5 at once.
No, I'm talking about for this and this. Do we do them separate?
Oh, 2 variances together. I'd make a motion,
Let's do
separate
separate.
motions for separate
Okay,
requests. Correct.
that's what I thought.
And the language of the motion would be what we see before us on the variance on the agenda. Is that adequate?
No, that lumps them both together.
Oh, this one. You wrote it down.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can just what you see in front of you. Just do them one at a time. So take the permit 12 parking spaces, stop there, and then skip over the 8, the 1 building part.
Yeah.
If you want to make that.
so I make a motion that we grant a variance from section 3240-46A 2D to allow 8 dwelling units in 1 building as discussed at length by the planning board. Is that right?
Let's amend that.
Let me get it here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page.
Yep. Hold on a second.
D, the municipal code of the town of Newmarket, New Hampshire to permit 8 units in a single building to contain 8 dwelling units where 2 buildings are required on real property located at 3 Railroad Ave. Tax map U3, lot 138A, within zoning M2A zoning district, as the petition satisfies the 5 parts of the test of the variance statute.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
this is
that's right.
Yep. This is 8 units in 1 building.
Correct.
Okay.
Aye.
All those in favor, James,
Aye.
Aye.
you have 4 ayes.
Thank you.
You're going to Hollywood. Sorry.
Okay, and now the parking
One.
Now
request.
the parking one. You want me to make the motion?
Have to have him make a motion.
Okay.
I'll let you do
Move
it.
to grant variance request for CC5 Railroad Street, petition the zoning board of adjustment for relief from 32:46A2C of the municipal code to permit 12 parking spaces where
16.
where 16 are required, within the M2A zoning district, as the petition satisfies the 5-part test of the variance statute pursuant to RSA 674:33.
I'll second that.
Point of clarification. The reference is 32-46A B2D.
Oh, I got the wrong one. Okay. I had two choices. I had a 50% chance of getting that right.
You're not going to hold.
And I would like to add the proviso in there that we get an easement for the additional parking on the adjacent property, so
Should you limit it to an easement or just, I don't know, would it be just an easement or?
I don't want to do the
That's-
additional property because I have all these property around it. I want to be able to move it.
So the concern about putting it as an easement on a specific property, and this would be an easement between the property owners, not between the town and.
correct?
Is that the other properties that Ben owns in the area that develop, and he has big plans for turning into an exciting dynamic neighborhood, he might want to move it to another one. And so when you do an easement, it's just hard and expensive to take it off and put it on another one. So what he's really asking for is a written document that will say that these properties will be, that these parking spaces will be made available and will not be released from availability unless substitute parking places are found without the town's consent.
Why without the town's consent?
Because you'll want to make sure that he still has those
They don't want me to
parking
put it in
places.
Boston, so I found 4 spots.
Oh,
you know,
oh,
yeah.
so with,
So we'd have to come back to the ZBA.
so with,
Yeah.
with,
Yeah, we'd
oh, I
get,
thought you said without.
No.
Right.
we're not gonna get it without, we're not gonna move those spaces
I
without your
misunderstood
consent.
what you said.
I would like to see brought to us the text of that document, so just take a look at it. But it sounds like it's a reasonable request. I can understand what you're doing. And as I brought up before, seen some kind of plan for the whole development, so we can get a more holistic view of what's going on. I understand, your desire to do it a little bit more piecemeal, and I don't want to limit what you can do, but I definitely want to protect the town's rights in this. So if we could make it conditional to seeing the text and getting it reviewed by council,
Okay.
and I'd be fine with that.
Um,
Does that make sense?
Could we make it just
council.
reviewed by the
legal
planning
attorney.
director, so that
Yeah, it could be maybe administrative, so maybe plan staff.
Planning staff, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that
Administrative
sounds
staff,
better.
I
that's
think
fine.
that just would
Yeah, I
save
think so
time
too,
and
because we,
everybody's money.
I know.
I just didn't want to speak for your time.
No, I think it's an appropriate venue instead of town council, so.
So we get a draft of the letter to the administrative staff, and if it's acceptable to them, you'll have your variance as far as I'm concerned. All those in favor of the motion with the,
We got a second? I'll second it.
who seconded?
Mhm.
James?
Sure. I will go aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Aye.
Well, it's been awful nice spending more time with you, and I appreciate it.
So on your next project.
Well,
Next month.
we're very excited about getting this one started as soon as possible. And one of the advantages of doing that is there is a new program that's just been established in the state called, under the New Hampshire, Invest New Hampshire program. And what it does is it provides funds to both the town and the developer when you do a project that's started within a certain period of time, that you have all the permits in a certain amount of time. So we have to have all our permits done at the beginning of July to get the application.
Now, would any of this fall under the workforce housing program too?
What it is there, the program for the Invest New Hampshire, or New Hampshire Invest, it says that we need more housing generally. So at the first phase, we're going to do units, smaller properties, just like the one we're dealing with. And it says that, you know, those applications, although they should be priced in an affordable way, it doesn't have the requirement that they be housing, you know, low-income housing, basically. What it says is we need more housing everywhere. And with giving this to people who are doing small developments of 10 or less units.
So hopefully the investment the state's making will get reflected in the fact that you're gonna recoup your costs for the development, so maybe the rents will be a little lower or something like that.
Well, and the town gets $10,000 too, under the program.
For what? $10,000 per
Per unit.
Oh, really?
Hey, that's $2,500 for each of us.
So that'll take care of your impact fees, potentially. Right?
Well, you know, could be. That's exactly right.
So, so, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well,
We'll
thank
see-
you again.
We'll see you next
Appreciate all
time.
the time you've given us.
See ya.
So, any new business to bring up before the board? Any old business? No?
Move to adjourn.
Move to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That was a
Unanimous.
very enjoyable experience.
I think that's a good.